You're back. We're back. We're checking out more military content today.
The 5 most elite special forces in the world.
Elite, high praise. And we've got some U.S. forces, not surprising, on the screen here. I'm going to be hard-pressed to believe that the Navy SEALs are not going to be on this list.
Yeah. I actually just read a book about Marines. That was kind of cool, too.
Marines?
Yeah, it was like, well, it was a fiction book, romance book, but the male characters in it were Marines. So I learned more about the Marines.
There you go, guys. That's Sam's view of the world in terms of military function. And
I was like, oh, these guys seem pretty badass.
Let's see if these guys are going to be badass. We got military content on the channel, so let us know if there's any other stuff that we should react to by hitting the comment section down below. If you like the video, hit the like button. All right, Sam, let's do it.
Special forces are military units that have been trained to carry out special, often secretive, and sometimes dangerous operations. Depending on the country, these missions can include everything from covert ops to counterterrorism. So who are the best of the best? From the Huntsmen Corps to the British SAS, here are 5 of the most elite special forces in the world. Before we begin, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos every day. With that being said, let's begin. Number 5. Huntsmen Corps, Danish Special Forces. The Huntsmen Corps, also known as the Jaeger Corps, is a Royal Danish Army Special Forces unit from Aalborg Air Base. If you want to be one of the best, then this Special Forces unit is the one you'd want to be part of. It was first formed in 1785 as the Hunter Corps of Zealand, but underwent several name changes over the years. It became the Huntsmen Corps in 1961 and has trained over 350 soldiers between 1961 and 2009.
That's it?
Even though it has been around for hundreds of years, it wasn't until 1995 that elite trained soldiers were deployed on their first mission. It was time to put their training and hard work to the test. A 6-man team, Task Force K-Bar, was sent on a counter-sniper reconnaissance mission to Sarajevo in Bosnia. For their efforts as part of a joint special forces group in Afghanistan, the Huntsmen Corps received the Presidential Unit Citation in 2004. If you think you've clocked up enough hours on your gaming console to fancy yourself a special forces expert, then think again. You would be amazed at what it takes to actually become involved in an elite special forces team, such as the Huntsmen Corps. You must be both physically and mentally fit. The first stage covers 5 days of learning what you must get better at, such as swimming and orienteering. You then move on to training and evaluation, followed by an 8-week patrol course. If you manage to excel in this grueling training course, you then move on to the aspirant course, which is all about learning and pushing your physical limitations. Those who master the aspirant course will then complete 2 weeks of parachuting and 2 weeks of combat swimming. Today, the Huntsmen Corps consists of 150 soldiers with experience in parachuting, infiltration, sabotage, counterterrorism, surveillance, demolitions, and more. They model much of their programs on those of the British SAS and often train with both them and US Navy SEALs. Number 4. Indian Marcos. While you may not have...
I had never heard of them before.
Me either.
Huntsmen.
Cool.
And I know for me personally, the water combat.
I was just thinking water combat would be hard.
Yeah, that would be the thing I would struggle at the most. Not a strong swimmer here, but
Yeah, you're not really a water guy.
no. But these guys, the thing about these special forces, the units, they can do everything, right? You know, whether it's jumping out of a plane or going underwater, you know, going into treacherous territory and, you know, conditions that are so harsh you can't even imagine. That's what makes them so elite. And like, it's crazy that you see, you know, only 300 people or 350 or 150 people are capable of meeting these standards. It really shows the level that these guys are probably at.
Well, yeah, I think it's really crazy because obviously the physical component is one part of it, but I think like the mental component and being able to strategically think and like the tactical side of things is obviously super important too.
Yep, it takes the training, right?
and US Navy SEALs. Number 4. Indian Marcos. While you may not have heard of the Indian Marcos, that doesn't mean they're a special forces unit you'd want to underestimate. The Indian Marcos, also known as Marine Commandos, or Marcos, is a special operations unit that works as part of a Tri-Series Armed Forces Special Operations Division. Marcos has been around since the late 1980s and can undertake all manner of missions, be it on the sea, on the land, or in the sky. However, they specialize in maritime operations. Marcos has around 2,000 personnel, but accurate numbers are classified information. What you can know, however, is that training is so strict that pre-training applicant selection excludes up to 80% of applications and selected personnel within 3 days. Anyone considered for the Marcos has to come from the Indian Navy and must be in their early 20s. The 2-year recruitment process incorporates airborne operations, counterterrorism, anti-piracy, anti-hijacking, combat diving, unconventional warfare training, and more. The first step to joining the Indian Marcos is 3 days of physical fitness testing and an aptitude test. After 80% of applications are screened out, the remaining 20% will go through what's referred to as Hell's Week, which is not dissimilar to what the US Navy SEALs do for their recruits. From sleep deprivation to physical exercise, Marcos leaves no stone unturned in ensuring they choose the best people for the job. Only around 2% of applicants will make it past this point.
2%.
The entire training process can take around 3 years, with
Wow.
everything from weaponry to warfare, intelligence, anti-terrorism, commando skills, and skydiving covered in the program. The dropout rate is around 90%, and those who make it through to becoming part of this elite Special Forces unit will well and truly deserve to be there. After all, who would go through all that and not be capable of protecting their country? In 2017, they rescued an Indian bulk carrier ship from pirates in the Gulf of Aden. Marcos has also been known to fight alongside the Indian Army, such as during the 1999 Kargil War. Number 3.
I've never heard a thing about the Indian Army before, so this is a first. The Indian Marcos.
Yeah, I've never heard anything about them either. It's also interesting because in the first one that we did, the Danish one, I was about to say that I felt like the number of personnel was low, but I don't really have anything to compare it to. But then now comparing it to that, it is very low. They had 150 roughly soldiers, and that had 2,000, right?
Yeah,
on average.
But I mean, when you look at the population differential
that's
between
fair.
The countries, that's also
Obviously,
significant.
India's huge.
Yeah, but also I think the U.S. Navy is pretty small. I don't think it's very large. I'm not entirely sure. I'm
sure we're gonna learn.
Yeah, I think they're going to be on the list, like I said. So we'll see.
JW Grom, JW Grom, which is named in honor of the Home Army and Silent Unseen from World War II, is a premier Special Forces unit from Poland. Such is their accuracy, precision, and skill set that soldiers within JW Grom are often referred to as the surgeons. They boast surgical abilities, extensive medical training, and are even modeled on NATO Tier 1 units, such as Delta Force from the United States. It won't take you long to realize why JW Grom appears on the list of the 5 most elite special forces in the world. They are a group of highly trained soldiers who are ready for almost anything. They were established in 1990 and have been deployed in anti-terrorist operations, unconventional warfare, special services, and enemy line force. In 2002, a 40-man team from JW Grom was deployed for Afghanistan for the 2003 invasion of Iraq. While they were integral to this operation, they weren't on their own. JW Grom formed part of the Naval Special Operations Task Group, which included US Navy SEALs, US PSYOPs, Civil Affairs teams, and the British Royal Marines. During this operation, Grom was tasked with assaulting the KAOT oil terminals. During this operation, there were no casualties, and explosives that were found were taken care of by Grom. A Grom sniper has also been involved in a close target reconnaissance operation with Det 1, while US Navy SEAL Chris Kyle was assigned to JW Grom for 1 week in Baghdad as well. The training process to join this elite Special Forces unit is rigorous, and those soldiers who go through it do so with the best groups in the world. Psychological, physical, and durability tests all make up part of the initial testing stage to filter out those who don't make the cut. Those who do can move on to disciplines such as sniping, parachuting, anti-terrorism, and other special operations. Around 75% of those in Grom are trained paramedics or medics, and all soldiers also trained to capture and kill.
Wow.
Number 2. British SAS. It's of no wonder to anyone why the British Special Air Service appears on the list of the most elite forces in the world. Most of the Special Forces units around the world base their military model on that of the SAS, and even the US Delta Force unit founder spent time with the unit. The British SAS was founded in 1941 and became a corps in 1950. Their primary focus is on reconnaissance, counterterrorism, hostage rescues, and direct action. Due to the sensitivity of what they do, this Special Forces unit is highly classified. There is limited information on what they actually do. What we can tell you, however, is that the SAS is made up of a regular and 2 reserve units with around 400 to 600 soldiers. There are 4 squadrons with 65 men in each, a major, and 4 troops commanded by captains. Each troop has typically around 16 men, with these separated into patrols of 4 men. In each patrol, each of the 4 men has a specialized skill. They might be a medic, in charge of demolition, or something else equally as important and essential for special operations. The British SAS never recruit from the general public, and the training program is intense. The only way to get into this Special Forces unit is by applying from the UK Armed Forces. Most candidates often have an airborne or commando background. During the twice-yearly selections, 200 candidates undergo a fitness test, with cross-country running against the clock, a 40-mile march, a 20-hour scale, and ascending of the tallest peak in South Wales, Pen y Fan. Candidates must also take part in combat survival exercises, battle plans, foreign weapons, a 4-mile run in 30 minutes, a 2-mile swim in under 90 minutes, and jungle phases in one of 3 areas. Finally, they must undertake a week-long escape and evasion exercise. During this exercise, the candidates form patrols and spend the next 36 hours in grueling conditions. Out of the 200 candidates who start, only around 20% will manage to scale and descend Pen y Fan in the required time frame. After the escape and evasion exercise, about 30 men will remain. Those who make it through will be able to transfer to an operational squadron. For as long as the British SAS has been in existence, only men have been able to join. However, 2018 marked a recruitment policy change, and the first woman, a mother, applied for the 6-month selection course in May 2019. While she remains anonymous, she is thought to be experienced in covert operations in Afghanistan and had worked alongside the SAS before. The British SAS is a highly elite special force that has gained respect and honor around the world. Due to not only their engagement, they have been awarded several battle honors dating back to 1944. Number 1.
So yeah, I'd heard the name British SAS, but I really didn't know much about them. Obviously, you know, North America, that's where we're from. So we're going to have much more of the Americanized influence, and you hear a lot about that. But clearly they're super organized, and, you know, it was interesting hearing the structure of the way they delegate things. And
which makes sense how they like break it down.
yeah, for sure. I don't know, maybe the other ones are, like they said, modeled after that as well. But it was cool hearing the details, and, you know, they have kind of a way to go about doing it. Obviously, you start with the armed forces, and then if you're, you know, selected or you apply in your elite level, then you can go through the training and the grueling process of so many of those physical things that they're doing, like, you know, the swim and, you know, the just being out, I guess, similar to Hell Week, somewhere for a week and you try to survive it. It's just
like scaling a freaking mountain.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, the point is if you can make it through all of those things, when you get into the real world situation, it's going to feel like a piece of cake, because it's like I've conquered all these other things that, you know, you can't be. I think the idea is you can't get sidetracked by the obstacles in front of you. You just have to be focused on the task at hand. So if you've gone through all those obstacles previously in your training, when you have those obstacles come up in the real world, it's like, okay, how do I just solve the problem, rather than it, you know, being a reaction psychologically or, you know, hormonally, brain chemistry wise, where you have fear or anything like that play a role, is not the case.
Yeah, and I think part of your training, right, is like so engraved in your instincts, like heightening your instincts to, just like you said, react. So that way when you do get into a real world situation, like, yeah, you're going to have to critically think about like what's physically going on in front of you and processing that, but it takes out some of the limitations of things that would usually be blocking you or slowing you down, right? And I think also, like, it makes sense to me completely that they're going to filter the application process, and not just like anybody can go and apply from like the general public, because, you know, if you're this like covert special forces and you require like the people to have then previously been part of this organization, and then to get into that organization, you would have needed to be part of this organization first. Like, they've already streamlined some of that refinement process for you, right? By the time that you get to that.
Yeah, it is interesting though, because age would play a role, because you'd have probably a fine line of, you know, the people that would be capable to complete these tasks physically. I mean, not saying that you can't be older and do these things, but it gets harder to maintain your durability as you get older, for example. So you have this period of time or timeline where you need to be experienced enough, right, to get into the next phase, but you don't want to be too old, because then you're going to be lagging behind people that are younger and more durable. So I would be interested to know what the average age for somebody in these groups would be, because like I said, it's you know, probably confined to, you know, maybe between 25 and 35 5 or something like that.
Yeah, and they probably also want people with more experience or having been in these roles for longer in more of the overseeing roles as well, right? So like if you have kind of the streamlined process of like, okay, you get into this team in your mid-20s, or even some of this, they said it takes like 2 or 3 years to train before you even get sent on a mission, right? So, if you're not even seeing battle or mission until you're in your mid to late 20s, and then, you get a couple years of experience, then you can move into like more of a higher role as you're older, but it's not as physical for you because you're more in a commander's role.
Navy SEALs. At number 1 is the United States Navy,
No
Sea, Air, and
surprise.
Land, SEAL teams. The Navy SEALs is the United States Navy's primary special operations force and part of the Naval Special Warfare Command. John F. Kennedy created the SEALs in 1962, and they are often noted as being the cream of the crop. The SEALs carry out special operations in all manner of terrains, including the water, jungles, Arctic, mountains, deserts, and your everyday urban environment. There is almost nothing this elite special force can't do. What's more, such as their experience and elite skill set, that the CIA recruit their operators from the SEALs. Some of their more unique tasks even include eliminating high-level targets, gathering intelligence, and forming joint operations. Since the 1960s, they have been involved in the Korean War, Grenada, the Iran-Iraq War, the Persian Gulf War, Panama, the war in Afghanistan, and Operation Enduring Freedom in the Philippines and Horn of Africa. Those who think their gaming skills put them in good stead for the Navy SEALs will be terribly mistaken. Before SEAL training can commence, a candidate must pass medical and physical screening, which can be quite challenging in itself. It includes things like swimming 500 yards in 12.5 minutes, 50 sit-ups in 2 minutes, and a 1.5-mile run in 10.5 minutes. Those who pass these tests can begin the rigorous Navy SEALs training regime. The attrition rate sits at approximately 80%, and formal training can take around 12 months, with warfare prep, parachuting, and more. While the SEAL Special Forces team was a male-only unit, that changed in 2015. It was decided that if a woman could pass the grueling basic training, they should be allowed to serve. However, in 2017, a woman who tried to become the first female Navy SEAL quit within 1 week of initial training. That goes to show just how grueling becoming part of an elite special forces can be. Do you think you have what it takes to get into any of the world's best special forces?
Absolutely
Do you know
not.
anyone who has passed the training or has given it a go? Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen now. See you next time.
It's a weird ghost. So you don't think that you would be able to be an elite special forces, Sam?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, takes
Not
a lot of.
becoming a Navy SEAL anytime soon.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed for both of us. I was interested to see what they were going to say about the female there, because last I had heard there had never been a U.S. Navy SEAL that was a female, which, I can understand, like the physically grueling component of it. That's probably what happened is she, got into it, and then physically your body just starts to break down. And so I think that it just highlights the sheer number is so low of people that are capable of doing something like this. And time, place, mentality, everything's got to kind of line up, and you're going to get the best of the best. And, that's why they're going to take part in so many of these important wars that we talked about. And I think I've even heard them being used. I think it was with Osama bin Laden. I think they also used
Navy SEAls
to capture that or kill him, whatever. I think it was him, or maybe it was Saddam Hussein. I can't remember. One of the two, I believe, had U.S. Navy SEALs in that mission.
So just so I understand correctly, the Navy itself is more water-based, like ships and stuff.
Yep.
But then the SEALs will go do more specialized.
Special ops, yeah.
Yeah, like either in the water,
All
on the
over.
land, or in the air.
Yes.
So even though they're part of the Navy, which is water-based, they do more broad-ranged activities.
Yeah, I think that the Navy term is not explicit to them being a part of the Navy. I think it's its own force within
Okay,
the American military.
true.
But you guys can elaborate, because I'm not an expert, and I'm not a part of the U.S. Navy SEALs, nor am I a part of the American military. So I am not an expert. I'm here to learn as much as Sam is, and that's what you guys do so well. You help us learn by hitting the comment section and giving us insights. So this was cool, because I got exposed to a few different groups I'd never heard of, got more insights on the ones that I had heard of, and we love learning, like I said. So give us more military-based content to do on the comments in the comments section, and hopefully it'll be on the channel in the near future. So anything you want to add, Sam, or you good to go? You learned something in particular today, Sam?
I thought this was cool. Like, I mean, I've always heard about the Navy SEALs and that being, super important in the US, but I didn't really know about any of these other ones. And even the British one, I wasn't really familiar with that. So that was cool. And I think it's really cool just to see like, the specialized training that they get and what they have to be able to, like what the human body can withstand to be able to do this.
All right, guys, have a good day. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching.